I think it's a little too dark without it. Hey, y'all.
There we go.
Yeah, that's much better. So
Hey,
Hinton got to see
everybody.
What do you think of when you hear?
Love the image y'all chose. How are y'all doing, Golfmania? All the things, Acres, Josie, Miss Katie.
Miss Annette, Henry's Honeys, old lady Delaney, how are y'all? Joy, how are you? Y'all must be at the beach. Does the seahorses give it away? You know, we're not far from South Mississippi. We're not far from the beach, so we drove down for a day or two to let the kids have a good time before milking starts. So.
And that will likely be next week or the next.
Yep.
So this has kind of been our spring break.
That's right.
Spring break 2020.
It's a little chilly actually on here.
I'm a year behind.
I wish you could see my feet though. I'm like tore up. I got burned up.
Aiden is the lobster. So we went out today and they were all like, they come out of the water all freezing, but Aiden is like a lobster. So tomorrow we have to put our sunscreen on. Kobe was like, oh, it's spring. The rays are just not the same as the summer. I'm like, the sun is beaming. They're probably going to get burned. No, they'll be fine. Aiden's a lobster. He was the only one without his shirt on. The girls got some red on their face, and they had the long sleeve tops on, so they were fine. But Aiden decided to take his shirt off. He won't do that tomorrow.
He got tore up. Hey, Miss Francis, how are you?
Me and little Liv, we sat under a tent. We were in like a little dome-shaped tent to keep the wind off of us, and we didn't get any sun. So
we had the whole place to ourselves almost. There really wasn't a lot of people there.
The sun will sneak up on you. Yes, it will. We wanted the sun for the warmth, but they got a little toasty. The girls are really not that bad. Ellie's legs got kind of bad because she sat digging in the sand almost the whole time.
I know. I don't have my coffee tonight too, so it makes it even harder.
And everybody was up except for me at 5:30 this morning.
Hey, Miss Annette. Hey, Miss Francis.
All the kids took turns digging holes in the sand, and some of them were like almost shoulder high.
Yeah,
they got down in there digging those holes, so they had a really good time out there today.
What's so funny is we had we left yesterday afternoon, so it was storming at the house. I say storm, heavy rain after those two videos. The video that you saw today was from Monday, and was it Monday? I did that. I think it was Sunday or Monday. So, anyways, it was storming at the house when we were leaving, and we were getting hay out. It was freezing. Actually, it dropped back down to about 45-ish.
It's pretty cold.
So it was pretty cold for us. So when we came down here, it was gonna be cool. But again, it was just one of the things we need to do before we really get in our busy season at the house there.
Yeah. And see a lot more people popping on. Thank y'all for dropping in.
Yeah, ASWRU from Japan.
Yeah, so spring break.
Hey, Jennifer.
For us, when we get back, we will be expecting a calf and a lamb or two, depending on what Daisy has.
Yeah,
Daisy. I always get Minnie and Daisy mixed up because Daisy
they look just alike.
Has a black spot on her shoulder, and I want to call her Minnie. So I always get them mixed up. But anyway, so she's expected to lamb. We don't know if she'll have one or two. And hey, they said no yawning.
I know. Tonight. Can't help it.
And then Allie should be having her calves. And her calf, I hope she doesn't have two, but she's big enough to have two.
She is huge.
She is huge. I mean, she is so round. So probably next week or the next, huh?
Yeah, a lot of people don't,
We're expecting that baby, and then
we can have anybody do farm chores, but when it comes to with our cows and milking
is just a lot of people are more hesitant with bigger animals, and they tend to be maybe a little bit more.
Hey, Lindsay.
To where, like, if you walk out with the pigs and you're fixing to dump some feed to them, they don't care. They don't care who you are. But with the cows, they tend to be a little bit more personable. So even if you walk up in their stanchion and they know their routine and you dump that food, they're still going to be like, well, wait a minute, you're not the person that milks me every day. So even when we were gone and we went to the mountains back in November, the first week of November, and Aiden and the other kids stayed back with Colby's parents.
Hey, Miss Sue, welcome.
Allie would not go in the stanchion when Colby's daddy was out there. Aiden would have to walk her in because she knows Aiden. Aiden would have to walk her in, pour her food, and get her in the stanchion, and then Colby's dad would come in and help. So that makes a huge difference that, like I said, a lot of people are intimidated by the bigger animals, and it's so much more personable with cows.
Hey, Cliff, how are you?
If they don't know somebody, they're going to be like, wait a minute, I don't know you.
Well, and milking, it's not easy for people who are not used to it. So
yeah.
So all that starts back probably next week or the next, just depending on when she has this calf. She is big and ready to go. So we need to we're excited too, because you'll see a video coming up probably this weekend where Missy shows the fridge, and it is getting down to the bare minimum on our milk production, or our milk savings that we've put up. So I'm ready for her to have this baby.
Someone dumped a pot belly pig tonight. Happy to have a pig on the farm.
Well, there you go.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, ASW, you're right.
Got a spider on the ceiling behind you. No. It's a cord to the fan. There's a fan above us,
hey, Miss
and
Rebecca.
the cord is hanging down. I would not be
Little Mountain Life, what's up?
Excited if there was a spider behind us.
Betsy Farmer, he's doing good. Jennings, he may have digressed a little bit, but Jennings has always been kind of our all-boy, wild, rambunctious, crazy. So I think it just made him a little bit more wild, rambunctious, and crazy a little bit.
And I think a lot of that is seeking attention.
Yeah.
Like when we first brought her home, he wouldn't go, he calls it pee toilet. He wouldn't go pee toilet anymore. He kept wetting his pants, and we did that. Oh
hey,
my
Papa
gracious, for what? Weeks?
Weeks.
Weeks after she was born. And then,
hey, Miss Sue.
Just like little stuff, like he's always gotten into stuff, but it got worse when he got home. I mean, when we got back home with her. But he is getting better. But I think a lot of that is just for attention.
He's not the baby anymore.
He's not the baby anymore, and I think a lot of it is just for attention.
But they're all sleepy. They were all ready to hit the beach this morning because we got in real late last night. So they were ready to hit the beach this morning, and at 5:30, everybody was up. Everybody. I got up to do to read my Bible and to get some coffee. And like when I looked, Harley like scared the mess out of me because her little bunk bed was right here. And I turned around and she was just like looking at me. So everybody was happy.
Up and excited this morning.
So now everybody's worn slab out too. So.
Well, I had to make Jen lay down for a nap today because
Marina.
he was
Mark.
so tired. Not only was he up early, but we were in the sun most of the day, and he was just running 90 to nothing. And he had this little shovel, and he was walking around shoveling that sand everywhere. So I know he's worn out just from that.
Hey, he's gardens. But talking about the cattle,
he will find himself. I agree with that.
We love milking. And milking is a chore, especially when it's raining or cold or anything like that. But that's a big asset on our farm. So it's really good to have that coming back to our farm just because we've been without it. So we'll have this milk cow, but the whole time she is milking, we'll be having Josie bred, and she will be getting into milk. So there's not going to be a time where we will have a milk cow that's not going to be in milk. So which will make it a little challenging when we don't want to go out of town, but ultimately it allows us to have that milk flowing.
Well, one super cool thing is these people don't market themselves as a homestead, but actually our bee mentors just got a family milk cow. So what's pretty cool is there may be a time where we help them out and they help us out. Because they have a full-size Jersey and they have several goats and they do they have a big bee operation.
I'm hoping we can
lots
help
of
them
chickens and stuff. So they're very familiar with like animals and just kind of how to deal with them. And they've raised hogs and butchered them there on farm. They've done batches of meat birds, so they're very familiar with all the things that we're doing as well. But the family meat cow, family meat cow.
Meat cow.
I've got too much going on. I'm trying to read as I talk. But they just got a family milk cow, and
hey Sharon,
it'll be great that there might be a time where they get ready to go somewhere and they need somebody to milk. We would love to do that in exchange for them coming to milk for us. So that's pretty cool that we may have that option.
Lotus Blossom.
The more they get used to milking her and all of that. So
Clifford, we are from South Mississippi. I wish it was 73. It's been 73 a few days, and then it got back cold. But I'm ready to have complete warmth. I've never been ready for winter to end. No, I don't. I don't say this every year. This is the first year that I am excited to see spring and summer. Summer, really. I'm just so tired of the cold weather. Like, my tractor is just getting stuck as I'm moving hay bales. Every paddock it's going in, it's just going to stick because it's just so wet.
I remember the last time that we had just lots and lots and lots of rain where it was just absolutely terrible was when we first brought Elsa home. Ask Colby who did that.
No, don't ask me. I didn't do none of it.
Saying,
I know, but it's looking like you're trying to put it off on me.
Jennings, here's y'all good word, whapped me in the face with a shovel.
The day
what happened to your eye?
The video today that y'all saw was us making that bed and planting onions in it. Well, the day we planted onions, the next day Misty went back out and did some potatoes, strawberries. So she was doing some strawberries.
But there's a fence up around it, and I don't know. I told Colby, I was like, we kept stepping over and over and over and over. I was like, why didn't I just take the fence down? And I don't know what I was thinking. So, I would step over and then I would reach over and get Jennings, and then we would walk to the bed and I would plant all those strawberries. Then I would go step back over and then I would bring Jennings back over. And I was like, I don't know why I kept stepping over it. But anyway, one of the times I picked him up, he had this little, y'all know the little gardening shovels, and then there's some that are shaped like a square.
Yeah.
And then there are some that have the little 3 scratcher diggy thingies. What are those
called? A little
called?
hoe. It's like a little hand hoe.
Okay, well, whatever they're called. I don't know the technical terms for them. Well, anyway, he had the little square one. He was just walking around playing with it. Well, when I went to pick him up one of those times, he smacked me right there. And as soon as he did, I felt it. It made my eyes start watering. But the next day, it was black. And it's gotten more and more black since. It's turned a little bit more yellow, but
you couldn't tell it as bad, but now that it's starting to turn back yellow, you can actually see the black and yellow.
So the guy that's doing our addition to upstairs, Colby's mom walks in and she goes, immediately when she looks at me, she goes, "What happened to your face?" And I was like, Jennings did it. Well, the guy that's doing our upstairs, doing all the sheetrock, we're kind of getting sheetrock and stuff settled upstairs. He said, I noticed it too, but I wasn't going to say anything. I was like, Ryan, dude, it's better than that. So anyway, it was kind of funny. Yeah, Miss Rebecca said you decided not to ask. Jennings got me right in the corner, right in the corner of my nose, right under my eye. But it was a good thing he caught me right there on that bone, because if he would have got me in the eye, it would have been bad. It would have not been good at all, because those little ends are metal, like solid metal. So if he would have went any higher, it would have not been good at all. Miss Rebecca said, I was going to ask, but I decided not to. That's exactly what Ron said that day.
Oh, goodness.
Lavender oil will help. I have a ton of lavender oil with freezing. If you have some, I do have some. Yeah, it is. Well, in that area is just all of your face is sensitive anyway. But thankfully, he caught me right there on the bone. It's still a little sore, but it's not as bad as it was.
What's so crazy?
I try to put makeup on over it, hoping it'll cover it up, but people still noticing it.
But it makes it worse in this light too.
Yeah, shadows make it a little bit worse.
Today too, we were outside, and the little plastic shovels that the kids were playing with, like little,
well, I was
sand
just telling
stuff.
them about them all. Well, they
Well,
were all digging with their shovel.
Eliza was digging with her shovel, and Jennings walked right into it. So he turned around and got hit. Now his is right here.
Right, it caught him on the top of the eye. And I was like, buddy, I guess that's what you get. We're going to be eye Twinkies.
I know. It didn't faze him at first. He kind of whimpered, but then he just kept on playing. But it's funny because Misty got hit here, and the same eye. This one here and this one here. So. Oh, goodness. I know. I didn't even notice it at first because you couldn't really tell it bad the first day. And then, like I said, the last 2 days, it's kind of getting more noticeable.
Yeah, thankfully, like I said, he hit me on that bone, because if he would have went any higher and got me in the eyeball, it would have been bad.
Oh, goodness. So
he didn't mean to, but.
So we got the gardens going. Misty, where she did the strawberries, if you notice if you remember our strawberry patch, what we had, we're not having good growth there, and also it's kind of in the middle of everything. Plus, we did a no-till there, but we used a different kind of paper.
Right, we used a thinner
cardboard. It's a cardboard roll. It's paper. It's paper roll.
Roll, right?
It's like butcher paper, basically, but it did not work.
I think I would say that was the difference: is the paper roll versus the true cardboard.
Hey, Johnny, we did.
The paper roll. We laid it down, and then we laid a black, not a true tarp, but what would you actually call that stuff?
It's a weed barrier.
Weed barrier. We laid it down, but we had to put holes where we planted the strawberries, right? Well, the grass grew in those holes up and out, and it basically that summer took over the whole thing. So that was a major bummer for us. So we decided to do the cardboards with the soil on top, and then we're going to add extra cardboard around that to really put a damper on those weeds coming up and taking over like they did last time. I really think this is gonna.
We just planted a ton, and so we planted the strawberries that we had there. We still have a ton to still pull up.
Yeah, we do.
We've got about 70 or 80 already planted, and we still got about another, probably 50 to 60 left to plant. I saw a comment. Yes, we did hear about Needy Homesteader. We are praying for them. That's a tragedy. We did speak to Ben at BW. He said, of course, it was a barn, and you hate to see it have a fire there, but it could have been worse. I think they released
their video this afternoon. Yeah. I saw it come across, but we've been
on
vacation, kind of out and about doing stuff.
Dave, I like seafood. We still try to watch what we eat. We do play a little bit, so we allow the kids. Like we just went and ate there's a local place here that has it's like a local donut place. So we'll go in there, and the kids just splurged and had a good time. But what do I eat every place we go here?
Gumbo.
I love gumbo, and I love seafood gumbo, real seafood gumbo. So that's what I usually eat, Big Dave, when I'm down here. Misty, she changes it up. I'm proud of her. She used to be this is what I eat always, but she's changed it up. She started eating some crazy stuff, and I don't know if she liked it.
When we got married, I didn't even like pineapple. One of my sides was pineapple tonight. Chicken kebab with pineapple, and it was good.
With extra pineapple.
The menu said chicken pineapple kebab with teriyaki, but I got a chicken kebab with one piece of one circle pineapple on top.
Look.
So I split that up and ate it with the first shish kebab. And then when the waiter come back around and said, "Can I get y'all anything else?" I said, "Can I please have another pineapple?" And I thought Colby was going to fall out of his chair laughing.
I was like, who asked to have another pineapple? Look, I want to go and say this. We don't shish kebab thing.
Connection is unstable.
Hey, can y'all? I think we're back live.
Yeah.
Hey, we're on a bad connection, so sorry, guys.
We're streaming in a different place on the Wi-Fi that's here. So if we go kind of in and out, y'all just bear with us.
Yes,
when it cuts off, it'll, we're going to stay on about 10 or 15 more minutes, and then we're going to.
Let's see. Clifford said in 1977 we had snow flurries in Miami, but missed it because 2 classes 10th grade. with no windows. Yeah, see, you know what's so crazy is we're not used to a lot of snow either. So anytime we get little flurries, they shut down the whole town, even in South Mississippi.
Yeah.
Gulfsmania, we're trying no-till. No-till is great for us. If you don't want, for us in the South, if you're from the South and you have weeds, a lot of weeds, you need to do no-till or need to do some form of deep bedding because, like me and Misty now, we have to kind of look for weeds to pull, even in our big summer garden. So the no-till is phenomenal.
Yes, the tarp method has been, I mean, I can't speak highly enough. I mean, we used the cardboard. We used the cardboard, and then did we do anything? No, we did deep bed on the road.
Yeah.
And at the end of that summer, we covered it up for the whole season with the tarp. And then this past year was our first full year after doing that system.
This is our second year.
Was it our second
year?
Yeah,
it's our second year.
Yeah, that's right.
Second time.
So we had very, very little weeds. I mean, you could weed the whole thing, which is a huge garden, in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's like row after row after row after row.
I mean, like literally, we'll see a grass here, a grass there, but nothing like we used to. And that's again to deep bedding and silage tarp methods. We also use a flamethrower. We use chickens. You see the turkeys and ducks are on it right now. A few questions.
To be moved as soon as we get back home.
I'm bad with time differences. It's 7:17 here, and I was looking for 8. We're the same way. We watch people in the Eastern time zone a lot, and also of course the Pacific time zone, and they're so different from us. So it is 8 Central. Thank you, CJ. Let's see. Colby, thanks again for the info about the elderberry. I was planning on planting in a very rich compostable bed. I'm not saying they won't work, but they tend to do better in native soils. Most of the time they grow in junky cutovers.
In our areas, you can almost drive by any roadside and find them like over in the ditch. And they reproduce very, very fast. And like from season to season. And we even over there where the old car wash is by that Crackle Barrel, you know, they cut that down every single year.
5 to 10 foot.
Every year. I mean, every year. And that's like them getting smacked down to the ground. But so they do tend to grow like just over in ditches. They don't have to be babied. Once they're established, they will grow like tremendously.
Carly's Corner, how's upstairs coming? It's coming great. It's slow because again, we're not, I mean, it's a debt-free project. So it is moving a little bit slower than we're wanting. We are waiting on shiplap right now for some of the walls. But like
they're finishing up mudding.
Yeah, doing some mud work on sheetrock. Not that I can't
this
do
week,
mudding.
And then I don't know. I think next week, if the shiplap comes in, we'll do most of that.
Right. It's just one of those things. Mudding in the corners and on ceilings, I just didn't trust myself. So these guys are professionals. I didn't like that little shake of the head thing. All right.
We're entertaining Jennings. He likes kids YouTube. We only let him watch it every now and then. But there are people on there, I'm sure they were supporting majorly. But there are times that we will reward him and let him sit down and watch kids YouTube, and he enjoys it.
Go and take that. And he's like, so you let right back in there. But the upstairs is coming good. I want to say thank you. You kids are one of the top 3 lives. Thank you, Miss Rebecca.
Yes, thank you so much.
Usually we're probably not glitching and running in and out, so excuse that on this one. So, do you make
They're
your
hyped up on donuts.
We have made our own pasta, Fancy Farmer, but it's just such a chore. So we buy organic pasta when we usually eat spaghetti. We eat spaghetti a lot, actually. Missy likes tortellini more than spaghetti. Probably.
I wish I had the time to make our own noodles and pasta and stuff, but right now I'm just.
Hey, you
pick your battles, and that's not a battle.
Now we do eat organic when we eat them. I will tell you this: Michael Murray from Part-Time Permies, he shows how to make them up in Michigan. That guy can cook, and then to eat his pasta. So Part-Time Permies, that was a phenomenal thing. When we went to the hoop and we got to meet him. Let's see. Big Dave said, "You go, girlfriend, get your pineapple."
You're way behind on this.
I'm sorry, because sometimes we just talk too much and we don't read enough. Let's see.
Thank you, Pat, so much for staying with us for a little while. We appreciate that.
Marita says, do y'all rotate your plants in where you plant your crops? Yes, we do. We actually rotate everything but perennials, of course. We don't rotate them. But all our annuals, we do rotate. So where the peas were this last year tends to be where our corn or something that's more nitrogen sucking is. Because peas do provide nitrogen, so we are able to put something else there that's going to need that for next year. Our corn never stays in the same place just because with us organic and using compost, unless you're putting soybeans right there. So we have soybeans where the corn will go in some spots, same way with some of the other legumes and peas, but we do rotate. Actually, our tomatoes, we're changing it all up with tomatoes.
Yeah, this year's starting to look a lot different than last year. We had an amazing crop last year, though. Spring and summer. Fall was we just had too much. We had so many battles. And, that happens as part of it. Not every season. Kobe works full-time. I'm inside full-time with homeschooling and cafeteria lady. I'm the principal and the teacher and the whole 9 yards inside. So, with all that being said, you're going to have seasons that are great, and you're going to have seasons when you can't farm full-time as just a full-time job. You can't baby it like it needs to be. Like, we couldn't be out there to tend to the chickens and stuff that's digging in it to where we could put fences around it every day. I mean, we just can't do that.
A little bit, Edgar said, love your recipe on roll your dough. Can you tag me a good sourdough or how I can adapt my recipe to a starter? We do 2 starters. Misty has been doing just our yeast because it's quicker for her. But we have 2 starters. We roll a potato flake starter, which is a sugar starter, and then also an artisan starter, which is based on flour and water. I imagine you can use those. I don't know what. You probably need to find a recipe that would work good with that. We use a French loaf.
I would check out Lisa from farmhouseonmoon.com.
Yeah.
She is like all things sourdough. Like, she makes all their pizza crust,
and that's
cinnamon rolls.
Artisan.
What else does she make? She
Pancakes,
makes like a pot pie. The pancakes are amazing. They are the best. Her pancake recipe. I sat down and something. I had something all over the back of my pants.
But that roll, actually I was cutting bread a while ago and we didn't have our electric knife that we usually use. I was just using a knife.
And it still cut.
It just cuts so perfect. So I cannot say enough good things about that.
It's just like store bread. I mean, it cuts just like store bread.
I'm about to go get some clippings from my father-in-law's. Gosman said, we're careful with our clippings. We don't use grass clippings in our compost. On our beds, except for in the compost, because they can grow seeds bad. So we tend to not use clippings.
So if you're gonna use clippings in your compost, just be sure that you're watching that temperature, because you want the temperature to be hot enough. Thank you, Gosmania, for sharing that video. You want your temperature to be hot enough to kill the grass, the seeds that could be in the grass, so that you don't have grass that takes over your compost.
Hey, we've gotten to where we watch. McLeod said that they've gotten to watch where the kids watch YouTube more than actual TV. Jennings will not watch TV. So he'll sit there and watch YouTube, but he will not watch TV. It don't matter if it's a cartoon or not. He won't watch it.
And you know what's so crazy? A lot of the times we'll hook our phone up into the TV because we don't have cable or satellite or any of that. We just don't. That's something. We lived in a camper while we were building our house.
I know Rehab Life. I need to check it out.
So we didn't have any we didn't have any connections. Like, we just decided, look, we're not going to be here long enough to try to get all that transferred. We're just going to watch the satellite TV, cancel what we have. And so after living there all that time, after we moved into our house, we thought, we don't need this. And because we had already watched some YouTube and stuff like that anyway. When we got into our house, we decided not to keep it. So now what we'll do is just hook our phones in, and like, we just let people play on the TV just like normal TV would. And we don't have any of that. But Jennings won't even watch anything on TV. Very, very seldom will he actually watch TV, but he will watch it from the phone, which is very good.
Clifford, yes, we planted watermelon. We don't eat a lot of watermelon. I actually love it, and one of our daughters do, but nobody of the other family does. You can grow them. They will fight slowly with grass, so you need to make sure they're planted in an area that's not got a lot of grass, because it takes them a little bit to come up. They grow like a gourd and they grow like a pumpkin, so they grow slower. So 100 to 120 days is going to be the time frame. So you need to get them in the ground as soon as you can on springtime. because it's going to take them a while to grow, and they won't be ready until you can thump them and see a brown bottom on the bottom to make sure they're ready. And some of their vines will start dying. You done?
Yeah. You want to come sit with me? Yeah. Okay.
Look, you come sit. Your eye. You can show everybody your eye that you had. Got all beat up right there. Hey, a few more questions right quick. Let's see. Yes. Do y'all use any kind of tarp for your no-till gardens? Yes, we use Farmers Friends no-till 6 meal silage tarps. Now we have those in our Amazon cart. Amazon cart. If you look under the Max in our Amazon store.
Well, just go to the Amazon, and we have a gardening section, and it's going to be located under that section.
We buy 100 by 20 foot just because it's 10 to make it easier. Our gardens are 40 by like 300 foot. But anyways, we use those because it's easier to measure the width of
Thank you, Miss Kathy. I saw that link come across.
So yes, those tarps are phenomenal. Miss Sue says, what crops need a lot of nitrogen? Okay, so strawberries need a lot of nitrogen as a perennial. It's nighttime.
That means it's nighttime.
So you want to go see Bubby? Okay, you got a kite. Okay, let's not put that in front of the camera. Okay, so sorry guys. So real quick, what needs a lot of nitrogen? Strawberry needs a lot of nitrogen. That's a perennial. Now annuals, corn sucks up nitrogen, so it is going to take a lot of nitrogen. Tomatoes will take up a good bit, but corn is the main thing. So that's why you see a lot of people take legumes such as soybeans and peas and mustard greens, and then turn around and plant corn right above it or right on it as a rotating crop. Ryegrass also helps replace nitrogen in the soil. If you're missing anything in your gardens, most of the time, it's going to be nitrogen. So really make sure that you are putting a good bit of nitrogen back in your soil with the transition crops. Hey, Miss Latoya. Hey, Grandma's so happy. Little feet, how are y'all? All right, let's see. I'm trying to catch up on all the comments. Hey, Amelia from Portland. Not really.
Okay, you're talking about me talking too much?
Hey, you better watch it. I kept getting distracted with this kite going like this a while ago.
He's going to catch you in the eye now.
I know. I'm going to have this eye messed up from the kite. Hey, goodness. Hey, Keith, what's up, man? I'm glad you made it. Actually, we're going to try to have to cut this one short because I don't think this one's going to allow it to happen. So, yes, potash is a big thing, too. So, what we do is like when we prep a garden, so if we're using like where our mustard greens and all that were for fall, that grew pretty well, but that's providing the nitrogen back in the soil. So then we turned around and put turkeys and ducks on that area to finish out, let them eat it, and then we'll tarp it, and it will not go into rotation until probably summer. That'll probably be where sweet potatoes or something like that is, or a late pea. So it's not going to go in the same rotation with the greens as it did this year. That won't even be used probably in fall for this next year. So that's kind of how we rotate. We rotate with using what we're going to use. Then we turn around and cut it down, chop and drop, and then make a biomass. And then from the biomass, we then put animals on it, and then we silage.
And remember, the chop and drop is when you chop what's there down, and basically you're covering it back up, and you're going to let that break back down and refeed the soil.
That's right.
Because it's got nutrients in the plants, and it's just basically going back in the soil to refeed it.
The only fertilization that we actually put on our spring and summer gardens last year our gardens did phenomenal, was actually fish emulsion. We put a little fish emulsion. We put a little extra around our tomatoes, but to be honest with you, it didn't really help them because of where they were. It was just a bad tomato crop for us last year.
Well, I honestly think it was because we tried to single stem them.
Yeah, like a market gardener. That didn't work in Mississippi.
It does not work in South Mississippi. You just have too much humidity. And with that being said, I think it weakened our plants. We got more pests, bugs, and a lot of ours got disease. And I think it was all related to cutting and opening those plants up and letting them be exposed. and it was not good for us.
We're going straight
in our area.
All natural this year on tomatoes.
Yeah.
We're gonna let them grow. We don't care if it has 15 stalks coming out of it. It's gonna look like tomato trees. It literally is. So, yes, we put coffee grounds, Keith, in our compost. I'm a coffeeaholic, so I drink in the morning and at night. So all that goes into the compost with all the stuff that the pigs won't eat goes in the compost. Compost goes in the big pile that we have that y'all have seen. Hey, James, how are you? I think our girls are having way too much fun in there.
They're giggling, but I think they're gonna have a small sugar rush and then a crash. They're all super tired, but I hear them and they're just giggling. They're on the bunk beds giggling.
Simply Jan, yes, we do both. I'm gonna answer that question. It's not either or for us. We go into the ground 3 to 4 inches with our potatoes and then mound around them. So they're actually in the ground 6 inches under. That was nice. 6 inches underneath the soil, but actually under the soil level, they're only about 3 inches. So if you look at, for instance, we mounded up just before we left, and Misty's probably got some footage, and we've got some footage of actually putting potatoes in the ground. You'll see this weekend when Misty got popped in the eye. You'll see that video because we planted tons of potatoes, and you'll see how we did it. We did it just the same way that you're talking about, but we did both methods. Now, I know you can do hay. We tried the hay last year, mounding with hay. It didn't work good here because what it did was it reseeded in that area. Which, don't get me wrong, it was ryegrass hay. It was straw, actually. It was not hay, it was straw. But what it did, it allowed some of that wheat and some of that rye to bed, which, don't get me wrong, that's okay because it's nitrogen for the soil, but we didn't need it there. So it becomes a weed in that raised bed. So we're not going to use hay or straw this year.
I didn't like that idea. I think
mold. It just made our stuff look moldy too.
Yeah, so. Well, and I think part of that is too because you got rain and high humidity. And so anytime that it rained, unless the sun come out right behind it, it almost was just, that wasn't a good idea for us.
I'm trying to catch her.
Mama got a bad shiner. Yep, you can thank Jennings for that one.
Yep, and now Jennings got a matching one on top. So
I didn't do it though. He gave me one, and Ellie gave him one. But that's kind of weird though. That like I've never had a black eye in my life until the other day.
Well, hey, and I also got in the bees of the day, and what was so funny is Aiden got stung. He was walking to just turn the water on the turkey, so his ear was like double sided. It was like sticking out way further than this one. So we made fun of him.
Get a picture of him. He was like,
"Stop! Don't show anybody that. Stop!" So, but what's so funny is I called bee mentor.
They quit punching each other.
I know. Misty. At first, she was like, Misty said, "Oh, I will let Colby explain the black eye." That's what she started telling everybody. I'm thinking, well, that doesn't look good on me. It looks like I'm the reason she's got the black eye. She's throwing shade.
Thank you so
Lena
much.
K, thanks so much. You
that
sure didn't have to do
so
that.
So much to us. Thank you so much.
Oh, goodness.
We hope that, I mean, we jumped on tonight. We hope that, like, getting on here and talking to y'all and answering some questions and, kind of talking about what we do in our area and our location, that helps you guys and maybe can spin off and give you new ideas of what what you can do in your garden beds. And the only thing I think that we have not gotten actually started that we have to get started is loofahs. Last year, we grew those and they turned out beautiful, but we didn't get them in the ground.
How about you, Hank? What's up, man?
We did not get them in the ground soon enough because they were just about to be getting into that dried up area and the cold come and killed them. So they are not, no, we are in zone 8B.
Yeah, we're actually pretty south, so it allows us to get stuff growing pretty quickly. We actually have tomatoes and peppers growing in the greenhouse. You'll see some videos on that this weekend. I mean, you're going to kind of be hit with a lot of gardening, kind of pre-prep gardenings this week just because we have kind of worked in the greenhouse with marigolds, with basils, with herbs and sage.
The basils are so pretty.
Oh, no, they're starting to come up already. And then we also started planting peppers and tomatoes. So we're in zone 8B, so it allows us to really get stuff in the ground. The potatoes, for us, we usually plant potatoes about 3 weeks ago, but because of all the crazy weather we had, it actually didn't happen until this last week. But you'll see us how we healed it up. Remember, potatoes don't really need.
Talk. I agree.
I know we get excited about garden talk, but you really don't need a lot of fertilization with potatoes. You just need a good balanced soil that tends to lean towards a compost and almost a little acidic. It doesn't need to be too alkaline. Have a lot of alkaline soil. So our
blueberries love acidic soil.
Yeah, but our soil does really well when we add compost, and our potatoes do really well in that too. So we usually use the whole hilling. All our hills are pure compost, new compost. So it allows those potatoes to thrive in loose composted soil. So you'll have videos on that this week too. So
in the greenhouse, basil looks really good.
Yep.
What else did I tell you was sprouting the other day?
Marigolds.
No, not marigolds. Not sprouted yet.
What's the other herbs you were planting?
Lettuce had sprouted.
Yeah, lettuce sprouted.
Parsley had not sprouted yet.
What are the herbs?
I'm brain dead.
There's the purple basil and the green basil. And what else? We planted moringa, but it hadn't come up yet. I can't even remember.
I can't either.
We're losing it.
Sunflowers had come up. That was not an herb. My sunflowers had started coming up, which I'm super excited about. We don't do a whole lot with sunflowers. I mean, they're beautiful. But this is, I think we talked to y'all a little bit about how our focus is really being shifted. So we grow them not only because they're pretty, but we can feed our pigs, we can feed our chickens, we can keep the seeds to keep the cycle going.
Our bees.
Our bees will use that as their feed as well. So even though it's taken some from the soil and it takes a little bit of our time, what we're going to get in return of that is just, it's great. I mean, so great.
Yeah, so our goal this year is not only growing for us, and I had a question, I think Keith asked it on one of the comments on this last video. A lot of times we're making new garden areas, not because we actually need the new garden areas, but I think the more we realize how important it is to just not have yard anymore, but to have growing areas, let's utilize something with that. So when we have this raw space in our
so many sunflowers.
If you know where our blueberries are,
that's cool.
And where the greenhouses are, all that area just stays wet. So it's really one of those areres that we utilize towards. Go ahead.
By the way, they asked about us coming through Biloxi. We'll touch base with you because we're not exactly sure on time frame yet, but we'll touch base with y'all. Okay.
Yes. So I don't know. Oh yeah. So we don't waste any space on our ground. So most of the time we're putting we've got tons of no-till going into this area. And it's not that we need the space for gardening, but our gardening is not going to add for us and of course take care of us. And our goal at first was to sell like a CSA, become like an agricultural CSA. Now that's kind of been thrown out the window. And where Misty said our mind shifted, we're now saying, okay, what can we do with this extra produce? Well, then it becomes, let's feed our animals with it. If we can turn around and be a garden, vegetable, and meat sustainable farm like we are right now, but then add this element of feeding our animals, 50% off farm.
And a lot of the stuff, like the sunflowers, is so low maintenance.
Yeah.
I mean, you do your seed starts, get them in the ground, and some people you can just direct sow. However, I've learned that our seed starts tend to do better with starting them in the greenhouse. You don't have as many birds or like our cat that likes to get out there and scratch around in the dirt. When you start them as plants and put them out there, you don't tend to have as much animals mess with them.
See you, Big Dave.
So anyway, the sunflowers have started coming up. They're pretty low maintenance. And so like things like that, you just throw in the ground, leave them alone, water them from time to time. And then you've got tons of extra feed. And I'm planning to do a lot of sunflowers this year. And just the benefit that like the chickens will get from eating the sunflowers will just be great. So we're excited about that. It will be a little bit different this year, growing things to feed our, like I picked some lettuce the other day and Y'all saw me talk about how I forage for the chickens some. I picked them some lettuce the other day that the cold weather had nipped the tops, and I picked all that off and fed it to all the chickens. Even though they really need to start laying some eggs.
Yeah. You know, our sheep and cows are pretty much sustainable on their own just because they're grass animals. But when it comes to our pigs and chickens, that's the ones we've got to focus on. We're trying to figure out, okay, if we could take half their diet, just half their diet, and take it completely off farm, that makes a huge difference. And that just helps us be more sustainable. And don't get me wrong, if we did not want a true, I mean, we stock up tons of feed. It's not the question of feed, but if you look now how the soybean shortage and the wheat shortage and the corn shortage is really hitting from 2019, 2020, 2021, all the way up to 2024, that's going to impact feed prices. So you can take some of that and learn from it and grow more for your animals.
It can be kind of costly anyway if you're buying strictly feed for an animal anyway. And that they don't have, like, sometimes we give our cows alfalfa, we give them some hay, which, quote, costs. But when summer comes back around, they won't get anything. It'll be one of those things where the grass will completely feed them. So if you can talk chickens and pigs and cutting their feed down and providing for them, then that makes just a huge difference.
Miss Katie, we also feed basically black oil sunflower seeds to our cows too, especially when they're milky. We'll throw some on top of their alfalfa, and they love them. But especially we'll put them with a little apple cider vinegar in there and just let them kind of sit. And the holes, I think they'll go for it over the actual alfalfa at first. So, but we love them. All right, guys. I think we're going to try to wrap it up. We're going to get off a little early because we're going to go spend some time with them. I hear them going a little crazy. And the crazy thing is, I don't hear some of them. So that means they've probably already hit the dust.
Maybe. But
Kim Folk, what's up, man? Hey, Kim Folk Farm. I don't know if you saw that video that Misty talking about Be the Blessing. So Kim Folk Farm sent us some corn and some corn seeds. We're going to use those. We also passed that blessing along to 2 or 3 other channels. So, or not any other channels. Some of them were just gardeners, just people that watch us. So you need to check out Kim Folk Farm, and thank you so much, Kim Folk, for sending us those seeds for sure. What's up, VW? How are y'all doing? Hey, we talked about y'all earlier, praying for y'all and your farm for sure.
We had some prayer requests come across, and you guys were on that list.
So thank y'all so much for coming on tonight. I know we cut it short just because
we are on spring breaking it,
and we're not even using our internet service. I'm pretty happy that it actually worked.
I know. We were pretty nervous about jumping on here and knowing what kind of service we were going to have, but you were like, you know what? This is just something we do. We love to get on here Wednesday nights and talk to y'all. And we said, we're going to try it, and prayerfully it works. And it did. So we were super excited about that.
There's some great channels on here, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching. Check these other guys out. Support each other. And ultimately, have a great evening, great week. God bless.
Happy Homestead.
You had to come in here for this. She came in here for that moment right there. Right there. Happy Homestead, y'all.
You gonna say one too? Mama,